Thrive Tribe. My name is Brett Odgers and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today. Kate has asked me to step in and just talk to you about a strategy, a leadership strategy that makes a huge difference. Before I start, I want to tell you a story about how I came to learn this strategy. Now, and a little bit about me. So I run a coaching practice and I run a number of programs. And my main coaching practice is called the Culture Coach. What I work on is developing high performance culture in teams. And I work with business teams, I work with large corporates and small businesses. I also work with sporting teams, both professional and amateur. And what that's all about is leadership. And that's why Kate and I are so connected. We really speak the same language. So, how did I come to learn this particular technique? Well, years ago, I was running a business. Now, I've owned and run many businesses. This particular business was a wedding photography business, and we were a very elite studio. We did really great work, lots of celebrities and interesting people. It was a fantastic business. And at the time, I decided I wanted to take it to the next level, so I hired a coach. Now, this coach, in the very first conversation, said to me, "Okay, Brett, you can come to me with any problem you like, any problem. There's no question I won't answer. However, when you come to me with a problem, I expect you to have two solutions. So come to me with a problem, but come to me with two solutions and we'll work on it. If you don't come to me with two solutions, I'm going to hang up on you immediately. I'm not even going to give you any warning." Well, we were working together, and sure enough, a few weeks later, I phoned up and I said, "Hey, coach, I've got this problem. I just don't know what to do with it." And he said, "Well, what are your two solutions?" And I said, well, I kind of was a little bit like, "Well, that's what you're here for, coach, to give me the solutions." And bam, hung up the phone immediately. Didn't even give me a chance to respond. And I thought, well, he's kind of serious about this two solutions policy. So I rang back and I said, "Hey, coach, so here's the problem. Here's one solution and here's another solution." And we discussed which of those solutions might be the best solution and what the pros and cons of each solution were. The result is that I walked away feeling incredibly clear on what I needed to do to overcome my problem. But even more importantly, I walked away feeling like I had the power within me to overcome that problem next time it came up. Now, the most challenging thing that I see in leaders and across all organizations is this. They say, "I tell my team over and over again, I feel like I've got to tell them how to do basic stuff over and over again." And it's frustrating. When someone comes in and asks the same question over and over again, it's incredibly frustrating as a leader. Now, I have 3 children and my wife is endlessly being asked, "Hey, Mum, where's my socks? Hey, Mum, where's my school uniform? Hey, Mum, is there any milk?" Really simple questions which every one of my children can answer by taking action. If you're a mum or a parent, you know this, right? And here's what happens. Usually, my wife says, "The socks are in the dryer, Dale." So one of my children go down and look in the dryer and there they are. Or she says, "There's no milk in the fridge, we need to go up the shop and get some." Either way, what she's doing is giving them the answer. And what's the result of that? Next time they want to know where their school uniform is, what do? They actually say, "Hey, Mum, where's my school uniform?" To which my wife has to say, "It's in the wherever it is." It does not develop independent thinking, but it's a quick answer. So when someone says, "I'm running late for school, where's my school uniform?" It's upstairs by the ironing board. That's a quick answer. But the better answer is to say, every time you come to me with a question, come to me with two solutions. So when my children come to me, they say, "Dad, where's my school uniform?" My immediate question is, where are two places that it could be? And they say, could be in the dryer or it could be upstairs with the ironing. And I say, "Excellent. Which one of those is more likely?" So probably upstairs because Mum did some washing on the weekend. Said, excellent, why don't you go and have a look? Now, what that does is it develops independent thinking in my children, and it lets them know that if they come to me, I'm not going to give them the answer. I'm not going to feed them the answer. I'm going to teach them how to think about the solution. Now, leaders in businesses all over the world are effectively saying your socks are in the dryer, your school uniform's upstairs with the ironing. And what's happening is that it's creating a very, very frustrating environment where the leader is spending way too much time answering these really, really simple questions. So let me suggest to you that if you are leading people and you are finding that you have no time to do your work and that you are constantly answering what we'd consider to be simple or dumb questions, it's not your team, it's you. You are telling them where to find the socks. You are telling them their school uniform is upstairs with the dryer. So how can you stop that? Well, you can be like that first coach of mine who said, if you come to me with any problem whatsoever, you've got to come with 2 solutions. Now, it's important that you get their agreement on that up front, because if you just hang up the phone like my coach did without getting an agreement that they've got to come with 2 solutions, you're not really creating the environment for learning. So let me tell you about a client of mine, Scott, who was running a very large music tuition business. He had 30 or 40 teachers working in the business. They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients. And he said to me when he first came, he spends all day answering really dumb questions like, there's no drumsticks in the drum tuition room. Where will I find that? We need an amplifier for this guitar. Where will I find that? Really, really simple questions that each of the teachers or musicians could find for themselves. So what we did was we instituted the 2 solutions policy. And every time they came in, he'd say, well, where are 2 places that the drumsticks could be? And they would come up with that. And where are 2 places where the guitar amplifiers would be? And they would come up with that. And he made this agreement that they only come in with a question as long as they got 2 solutions. The result of that was that he was spending 80% of his week putting out fires, dealing with silly issues that were not really at his position. As the boss, as the CEO of this business, it was his job to lead it in new directions. It wasn't his job to know where the drumsticks were for the tuition business. The result was that going from spending 80% of his week answering these really silly questions, he got that right down to spending a really, really small amount of time answering questions because he developed independence in his team. What that meant was he had an enormous amount of time to think strategically about how to build culture, how to develop his team, how to create new products, how to push into new markets, how to change and grow the business. So if you're a leader who is feeling like, I don't have enough time, and or worse, that if you want it done right, you need to do it yourself, the simple way to make an impact on that is the 2 solutions policy. Now, this is how it goes. You need to make the agreement. Step 1, make the agreement with your team. And you say, there is no question you can come to me that I won't give you an answer for, no matter how trivial. However, I expect you to come with 2 solutions. Now, when they come to you with a problem, your first response is going to be to answer. It's the equivalent of mum, where's my socks, right? You need to resist the urge to answer, and you need to ask this question. What are your 2 solutions? And if they say, well, I don't have 2 solutions, you say, well, come back when you do have 2 solutions. Okay, so they come in, they ask the question. If they don't have 2 solutions, they're not moving forward. They have to go away and come up with 2 solutions. When they come back with 2 solutions, now your job is to determine if either of those is going to help solve the problem. Now, obviously, the more complex the issue, the more time you'll spend on that. So if they come in with 2 solutions, your job is to discuss the relative merits and benefits of each solution and guide your team into making a really good decision about that. Now, eventually what you're going to do is you are going to develop this independent thought, and more importantly, you're going to teach them to think the way you want them to think about the problems. Now, I've created a model called the circle of delegation, and it's really all about moving someone from being extremely directed, as in you're telling them everything, to being extremely delegated. Most people make that jump from directed to delegated straight away. The problem is there is several steps in between. There is the two solutions policy is the linchpin that moves them through the steps. So if you are delegating by just abdicating and saying, go solve that problem, and they muck it up, well, it's your responsibility to coach them through it. And the two solutions policy is a really great way to do it. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've got a few little worksheets that might help you with this. I'll post them in the comments below here, and I'll stay online for the next little while. So if you have questions, if you would like some help with anything, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the box below this. And thank you so much for being part of the Thrive Tribe. I know it's a really great place to be, and really extend your leadership and community building skills. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the Facebook group.